Here we go, great big day here in the Avalon Peninsula in Newfoundland, meeting up with the old buddy Tim on the old DR650. Gonna head off down the Witless Bay line and explore the Avalon Wilderness Reserve and the Southern Shore Highway. Let the old Google Earth kind of zoom in here, and as you can see right here on the Avalon, this was we're just going to give you a basic outline of the trip that we did. Witless Bay line, the Southern Shore Highway, and back into the old horse chops. It's a beautiful area of Newfoundland to explore. You can't beat this. This was just a small section of it. And we stopped off here at the Witless Bay intersection with the TCH, Trans-Canada Highway. Route 13 southeast for about 20 kilometers to Bay Bulls. Bay Bulls fast becoming a offshore marine base. From there we headed along the Southern Shore Highway, Route 10, about 28 kilometers down to Cape Broyle. And just outside of that is the stepping off point for the dirt section, back up Horse Chops. And that Horse Chops road here kind of went back up to the high country. This is where you get all the views. This is where the jewel of the Southern Shore is located, back in this area here. Beautiful. Anyway, off we go. Right off the bat, a bit of road construction. Lots of that on the go in Newfoundland. But once we got around that, it was wide open. This Witless Bay line is a great road to do. Straight, and you can see for miles and miles and miles, as Roger Daltrey once sang. Beautiful section of road, straight, hammer down. At the end of the Witless Bay line, you come to the town of Bay Bulls. You hang a right on the Southern Shore Highway, Route 10, and zip on down. The first place we stopped was Witless Bay. We had to head on down to the cove and see what was on the go. First place we stopped was the fish plant. Place was just a rockin' and a rollin', everybody out making hay while the sun was shining. This is a place to be in Newfoundland in the summer months. If you're lucky, you might even get a feed of fresh fish. Anyway, we got a few pictures, we had a look around, checked it all out, and back on the horses. Zip on up the highway, and the next stop was here at Mobile. We all had this hydro-generating plant, so we had to go down and take a look. And we didn't realize, but the whole place is littered with hydro-generation. Here in Mobile, Horse Chops, Piersbrook, Cape Royal, Rocky Pond, Torres Cove, they're all over the place. First one built in 1931, the last one being built in 1951 here in Mobile. Anyhow, the day was getting on, it was getting warm, we decided to get a few layers off, getting hot. But I would say if you're Tim, you're probably stuck in a snack. Anyhow, back on the old horses, zipping up the road, and there's the old beer truck, a common sight down along here. And next we roll into the community of Torres Cove. Lovely little spot here, nestled down in the valley. Lovely little village. So we just went for a drive on down here. We'll just let the old Google Earth there kind of zoom in a little bit. As you can see, we'll just show a little route we took through town. And every little road down here is so picturesque. Anyway, we just sit right on out to the water. You can see a local fish plant probably shut down. And right out there is the two islands of Fox Island and Ship Island. Our next stop was Cape Broyle, and as you can see up to my right was the dam that feeds the hydro-generating station here in Cape Broyle. Cape Broyle was named by the Portuguese, and it means to roar, as the ocean would crash on the waves outside the harbour. But it's basically the Irish that settled here, and you can find the Irish lilt alive and well in the language. So we just cruised around town. We wanted to have a look. We work with a lot of people from this area, and we were going to hoping to visit. The sun was shining, and we're just cruising around the back roads having a look, and right off to our left here is Newfoundland's only coffin factory, or casket factory. It was relocated from freshwater Carbonair back in the 90s. Anyhow, we have a friend that lives down here in Admiral's Cove. We wanted to go down and check out our buddy and see where he lived, and I tell you, man, lucky we did. What a beautiful little road out here along the coast. Rock walls, green grass, and blue water. I'm telling you, Newfoundland has some of the best places to check out in the country. You just got to get out, you got to find them, you got to ride them, you got to do them. Just going to let the film roll here, because just look at this spot, man. Look at this old church nestled along this little path. Converted back to a house, some interesting buildings. Man, oh man, oh man. Everywhere you looked, there was something to check out. People out and about, everybody doing their thing on this beautiful day in Newfoundland. This guy here gets the old nod from Tim. Way to go. Anyway, just down the road, here's our old buddy Dave. He's out and about soaking up some rays. Had a little chat with him, and we're starting to feel hungry. So Dave suggested this restaurant up the way. Riverside Restaurant. We had to get in and chow down. And what would you order here in Newfoundland? Well, fish and chips, of course. What a munch. I'm telling you, man, this hit the spot. Beautiful, beautiful feed. Great day. Riverside Restaurant. Highly recommended. Well, this is where the pavement ends and the fun begins. Horse Chops Road. This was the first of the dirt section that we were going to do back up to the Avalon Wilderness area, and to our left is the Horse Chops Pond, and this place is littered with cabins. Newfoundlanders love their cabins, love to get away back in the woods. This road was a nice road. It was well graded because it was well used. Had a little bit of dust, but that wasn't too bad. We were taking our time. We were trying to adhere to the local speed limit here. Lots of driveways jutting out. Didn't want to have a altercation with a four-wheel vehicle. And we're just taking our time, enjoying the blue sky up there. Man, oh man, oh man, what a day in Newfoundland. Anyhow, this is our first little intersection we come to, and we were seeing some infrastructure down here to our left. This was the Horse Chops generating station, so we wanted to check it out. It looked like there was something down there to see. We're going to head off down. This was some of the water that we encountered. Some of the first, there was more to come. And we come to a set of gates. Now that usually don't stop us, especially when there's a little path around here. So we're just kind of taking our time. We're going to walk over this. Now these bikes are heavy. We got a 650 and an 800. You know, they're heavy bikes. And this was a little obstacle. And you got to kind of take your time. Little things like this can trip you up and you can fall. And we really didn't want to break anything this early in the ride. You know, ruin the whole day. So let's take our time and watch out for stuff like that. Get on the gas, let's get down here, check it out. The old Horse Chops generating station. You could tell, look at that water tower up there, man. All this built back up here. And this was actually constructed in 1953. I think this was the last of the hydro generating stations along the southern shore. Capacity 7.9 megawatts. Horse Chops generating station. We got some pictures down there, looked around. A lot of water coming out there from the old generating turbine. Quite interesting. Beautiful spot. Great spot to go fishing if you had a rod. Anyhow, let's let the old Google zoom back out, and you can see the next leg would have took us back up to Mount Carmel Pond. And that's where we were going to take a break, and that would complete the first little leg of this run. Anyhow, off we go. And it wasn't long after this intersection here that things started to get a little gnarly. The road wasn't used quite as much, and you could tell. There was some boulders, some potholes, and, you know, it's kind of grown in a little bit, but it wasn't bad. But, I mean, just look at this day. Old Tim coming up back there, man, I'm telling you, slowly climbing up to the high country. And some of the views were becoming evident. Man, this was going to be a great ride for sure. All the bikes were working good. Things were great. Little stop here. Old Tim is going to check the old GPS, see how we're making time, doing good, everything's working great. Anyway, at this point, Tim is he's gonna lead off here now, and I'm gonna eat some of his dust for a while. And Tim's the old Hawkeye, you know, he's always looking, and just up around the bend here, see Tim slowing down. He's going out to this little lookout point, and what a spot Tim eyed! I'm telling you, man, you could see forever and a day. We were on top of the world checking it out. Anyhow, just got to keep on keeping on, and keep on keeping on through some water. And I tell you, this whole section of the trail, I would say a quarter of it was underwater. So if you're ever coming up this way, make sure you got some rubber boots on, because I'm telling you, man, it's wet. You don't see many frogs in Newfoundland. You don't see many frogs living in potholes. So that's how big the potholes are in Newfoundland. They're actually maybe small ponds, frog ponds. Frog better move. He's going to get squat. not long for this world. Anyhow, here we are. Finally, way back up at this dam. And this is basically the start of the Avalon Wilderness area. And again, this was a little interesting piece of infrastructure. We had to, certainly had to stop here, probably have a snack, and get ready for the next leg of the trip. Here's the dike, or dam, located at Mount Carmel Pond. Quite a bit of water being released from this waterway. We had to go down and get up close and personal. Unbelievable, the amount of water flowing out there. Flew into Hayden's Pond just to the south. Took the time to give the bikes a good going over, make sure all the bits and pieces were where they belonged. Keep an eye on everything. You don't want to make sure it all stays with you. This section of the road was entirely within the Avalon Wilderness Reserve. The reserve is 1,070 square kilometers of barrens and forest. It protects the Avalon woodland caribou herd, the most southerly caribou herd in Canada. The survival of this herd is a North American conservation success story. The herd had dwindled to only a few dozen animals in the early 1960s, but it rose to a high of 6,000 to 7,000 animals in the early 1990s. So yeah, quite a success story. This whole area is littered with dirt road network to hydro dams and dikes belonging to Newfoundland Light and Power, and that predates the establishment of the reserve, and that's why those are there. You need a permit to enter this area, and you should carry it with you at all times, and you can find those online. The whole idea of the reserve is to protect it and its inhabitants, all the wildlife and the fauna and so on. So it's nice to go in small groups on your licensed motorcycles with stock exhaust, and we certainly respected all the rules and regulations. You know, we didn't venture off the track. Everything that we packed in, we certainly packed out. We only left footprints, and we took away some pictures. So yeah, respect this area big time. Well, we had got on the go again and checked the old GPS and blast through a bit of water, and yeah, did I say water? There was lots and lots of water, man. Keep your boots on, make sure they're waterproof. And this slowed us down a lot. You know, driving through water is a little tricky because you really don't know what's underneath there. If you're going to hit a boulder or a hole or some other obstacle and send you bottom up. As you can see, a lot of bouncing around, and you know, leaves a little bit of anxiety when you're riding here. So yeah, maybe we should have took a boat. But look at these views here. Beautiful, beautiful area. You know, I mean, we're just taking pictures, we're stopping, we're looking, and we're just enjoying the ride. And there you go. Here's an example of some of the holes that you can encounter. And that kind of rushed me out, you know. Luckily, I didn't get pitched over the bars, but yeah, it kind of makes you realize, you know, take your time. And you got to realize that we're back in the country here quite a ways. And if anybody got injured, you know, the chance of getting somebody out here to rescue you would be, you know, would be tricky. Cell service was spotty, and we weren't really checking our phones, so we could be in an area with no cell service. You could have to leave your buddy and go look for help. So, you know, you got to be on your game. You should have a first aid kit. You should have first aid training, and you know, this can be some serious business up here if someone were to fall and break a leg or break an arm. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind. And that certainly, you know, regulated our speed and whatnot. But you know, the trails here were rough and they were gnarly, and they were taking their toll on us, taking their toll on the bikes. You know, the bikes were getting a hard beating. You know, your arms, your forearms, your butt, the whole thing. This was one of the more rough trails that we've done on some of our adventures. But you know, we were enjoying it. This was all new. It was a beautiful day. You know, the sun was out there, and just trying to pick a spot here to get the old stand. A lot of soft ground. And this was a little place here that we saw this little rock outcrop, and this was the biggest view in the whole wide world. You could see forever and a day. So we just got up here, and you know, we just breathing in that fresh air. And again, all we were leaving was footprints and taking pictures and memories, and this was just great. Just check this out. Anyhow, back on the bike, let's keep going. It's we got a lot of riding to do. And we just kept on. We had no problems. The bikes seemed to work good, the old DR and the old Beamer. And we just kept on surfing through some of these these water obstacles. Just, you know, keeps on going and going and going. This little section here was a little noteworthy section to show you. You know, we just went down this little, looked like a little country lane here. You know, wasn't really rocky, right adjacent to the pond, and it was you know, something you just wanted to kind of share with everybody, because there were sections here that were remarkable. And this day was one of the best days that we could actually have hoped to have been out here. So anyway, we just motoring on here, and I think it was at this point that I noticed that my bark busters there were starting to fall off. The old banging and rough trail was starting to take a toll. So you can see there where we had stopped, and we're just going to zoom out and give you an idea where we are. Tim had a look at his bike. He was after taking a few big smacks, and I decided to set the old camera up and get some good views. Yeah, well, the trails kept getting harder, and the day kept getting shorter, but the views just kept getting better. So we were keeping on, pushing on, and we came upon this bridge here. We didn't expect to see such infrastructure. It runs over a river that runs from Fly Pond to Southwest Pond. So we had a little stop there, a little look, got a couple of pictures, great spot to camp. At this point around here, we've crossed the d'Iberville Trail, and that's an ancient trail formed back in the 1600s by a Frenchman, all the way from Ferryland to Placentia, and then on down the Avalon Peninsula, basically to Hants Harbor. Well, at this point, we stopped, and the realization hit us that it was late in the day, and Tim checked the GPS, and we had a whole lot of trail left to do. And reluctantly, we made the decision to turn around and head back. This trail had beat us. It was rough, it was tough, it was long, and we just weren't prepared to do the whole thing. And the smart thing to do was to turn around and get out before it got dark. So that's what we did. Unfortunately, we didn't complete it all, but one of these days we're going to come back and we're going to try and do the whole thing.